Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I want to talk about miking guitar cabinets for recording. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I get my technique from Steve Albini. He went into exhaustive detail about why he mics guitar cabinets this way in the studio, and I'd just give a little bit of background on that first to start us off. And I have been tracking recently. I recorded a bunch of rhythm guitars for my album, and this technique works really well. I've been super happy with the result. That's why I want to share it with you. For some of you, this will not be news, but for those of you who have not seen this technique before, try it out. All right, so let's begin. Albini's main contention about miking guitar cabinets in the studio was that kissing the microphone up against the grill is something of a hangover from the old days of stage miking. Now, before PA systems became more efficient and before there were better ways to do things like direct outs and things like that, when engineers were miking up guitar cabinets on stages across the world, they had to put the microphone right up against the cabinets because they didn't want the musicians or other techs wandering around to trip over mics that were set maybe a foot or two in front of the cabinets. So, over time, that became the accepted way to record guitar cabinets across the board. So, what Albini decided to experiment with and ended up being his default way of miking cabinets in the studio was to take your whatever microphone you want to use to record with. I use an SM57 most of the time, but sometimes I change it up. But anyway, you take your microphone, you put it dead center of the cone, and then move it back anywhere between 8 to 18 inches. Depending on what kind of sound you're after or how full of a picture you want of that speaker moving air. And I've found that it just gives you a great picture. And what I found also is now when I'm capturing guitar sounds from cabinets, the cool thing is that in this most recent batch of recordings that I've done, I'm not having to EQ the guitar at all. It sounds just like it does in the room. Whereas when I used to kiss the cone or kiss the grill of the cabinet, you would, you move it in or out to get different frequency responses. And what I find is that by backing that mic out anywhere, like I said, between 8 to 18 inches or so, you get a whole picture of the amp, a more full picture of the amp. And in the past, there's been a lot of producers and a lot of engineers, on many famous recordings who do the close mic and then a room mic or 2 or 3 different mics and all that stuff. But for those of us who record at home, us DIY recording, recording artists, having that flexibility or having a great sounding room or working in a high-tech studio and having a giant mic locker is not really an option for us. So, this is a great way to get kind of a fuller sound, to get a fuller sound, to get a great picture of your amplifier and the sound in the room using just your one mic method and just backing it off because you're getting the full picture of the cabinet or a fuller picture of the cabinet. Now, I have found that there is no downside to this other than the fact that maybe if I back the mic off a little bit more, like say up to a foot or a foot and a half back, I do have to crank up the volume on the amp a little bit to get, the kind of signal input that I want. But that's not really a big deal at all. That's super easy. You just turn up the volume a little bit, and there you go. Right here, I have an example. I have my Fender Showman, 65 Showman, through my 15-inch cabinet here. I have an SM57 on a stand, and I'm about 10 inches away from the speaker right there. I'll have a couple pictures to show where the microphone is placed. And that is just the way that I've it's the way that I've adopted to do this, and I've been super happy with it. The results speak for themselves, and the fact that I'm not having to go back and go, oh, I should scoot the mic over a little bit, or maybe in this part of the cone, or if you're using a 4x12, you know, you go, oh geez, you know, which speaker am I going to pick for this, you know, for this recording session? Just by backing the mic up, you're going to get the sound that you're hearing out of your cabinet, rather than that really close frequency push that you're going to get when you kiss the grill. Well, I hope this is of value to people. I strongly urge you to experiment with it if you never have before. And I'd love to hear about opinions on this. There are probably some people who are going to go, well, you know, that's not, you know, that's not the way that I've always done it, or that's not the way that most people do it. And that is true. But that does not mean that this is not a valid way to do things. And it does not mean that the results aren't fantastic. So give it a try. It doesn't hurt you at all, just to move the mic back a little bit, dead center, and see what you get. All right. If you've watched the video to this point, I hope that you've subscribed. Likes and shares are greatly appreciated, and the comment section. Blow it up. Am I wrong? Am I silly for trying this method? I think that it is worth giving a shot, and I think you'll be surprised. All right, take care, and we'll see you next time.